Genesis 44:1 through 45:15. Devotional focus verse. And God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. Genesis 45:7. A few decades ago, a man invented a wristwatch movement that was based on a vibrating quartz crystal. He tried to sell the idea to the major watchmakers, who were using springs and gears in their watches, but the new technology was not in their business plans, so they rejected it. Other companies, however, envisioned that this could be the watch of the future. They decided to invest in the technology that would make it possible to create quartz-movement wristwatches, and incorporated it into their plans. The new watches were so accurate and trouble-free that they soon cornered the market. Most successful businesses have a plan, a set of guidelines which directs their activities. The plan usually states the goals of the company and the steps to reaching their goals. The leadership of a company tries to look at the big picture and sometimes must make decisions that have a long-term impact on the organization. Those decisions may not initially make sense to the employees who do not have all the information, but they must rely on the judgment of those in the leadership positions. In a much greater sense, down through the ages, God has always had a plan. As humans, we do not see the big picture, and it may be easy to question life's events. However, God's purpose is always good. His goal in today's account was for the preservation of His chosen people, Israel. It could not have been easy for Joseph to understand what the plan was. During the trials and discomforts he went through, there must have been times when he wondered why such adversities were coming his way. Yet he retained his confidence in God. In today's text, Joseph told his brothers that the events that had befallen him were used so their family would have food in the time of famine. Today, God has a plan for our lives. When trials come, we must remember that God is in control. When we are called to go through difficult circumstances, we can trust His plan because we know it ends in heaven. Some have abandoned God in a time of trial and make a shipwreck of their lives. Others, though, have hung on in quiet faith and confidence until God brought them through. Let us choose to follow their example and that of Joseph. Background information. Chapter 44 is the narrative of Joseph's continued testing of his brothers. His interaction with them climaxes in chapter 45 with the revelation of his identity. Joseph instituted a plan which placed guilt upon Benjamin and thereby would keep him in Egypt. Divining by a cup was a custom of the Eastern cultures at that time. Such vessels were considered sacred, and theft could be punished by slavery or death. Because of Joseph's belief in God, it is highly doubtful that he used his silver cup for this purpose. Rather, he was no doubt setting up a situation to see how his brothers would react. He wanted to know if they truly cared about Jacob and Benjamin. When the cup was found, the brothers offered to all remain in Egypt as slaves. Joseph asserted that only Benjamin would need to stay, and the brothers were free to leave if they so chose. Joseph even told them to get you up in peace unto your father. Judah's plea, recorded in verses 18 through 34, was passionate and profound. Judah, who had been instrumental in Joseph being sold into slavery rather than killed, volunteered to become a slave in Benjamin's place so Benjamin could return to his father. The phrase Judah and his brethren shows that he had become the spokesperson for the family. Joseph observed the change that had occurred in Judah's attitude. Verses 1 through 15 of chapter 45 contain the emotion-packed account of Joseph revealing himself to his brothers. When Judah finished speaking, Joseph could no longer refrain himself. With great feeling, he told them who he was. Although his brothers were amazed and speechless, his statement, "I am Joseph, your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt," was full proof of his identity, because only those involved knew those details. Although Joseph was in a position of complete control, he extended forgiveness. While he did not condone his brothers' wrongdoing, he assured them that God had overruled their actions and used the circumstances as a way to preserve them. 5 more years of famine were ahead, and it was illogical for Joseph's family to stay in their homeland, thus necessitating repeated trips for supplies. Joseph arranged for his family to relocate to Goshen, a fertile area in the northeastern section of the Nile Delta, where Jacob's family and his descendants could be provided for and live without fear. Conclusion: God's ways are best. After our trials pass, we may look back and see God's plan, and observe that He was orchestrating all the events for good.
Genesis chapter 44. And he commanded the steward of his house, saying, Fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and put every man's money in his sack's mouth. And put my cup, the silver cup, in the sack's mouth of the youngest, and his corn money. And he did according to the word that Joseph had spoken. As soon as the morning was light, the men were sent away, they and their asses. And when they were gone out of the city, and not yet far off, Joseph said unto his steward, Up, follow after the men, and when thou dost overtake them, say unto them, Wherefore have ye rewarded evil for good? Is not this it in which my Lord drinketh, and whereby indeed he divineth? Ye have done evil in so doing. And he overtook them, and he spake unto them these same words. And they said unto him, Wherefore saith my Lord these words? God forbid that thy servants should do according to this thing. Behold, the money, which we found in our sacks' mouths, we brought again unto thee out of the land of Canaan. How then should we steal out of thy Lord's house silver or gold? With whomsoever of thy servants it be found, both let him die, and we also will be my Lord's bondmen. And he said, Now also let it be according unto your words, he with whom it is found shall be my servant, and ye shall be blameless. Then they speedily took down every man his sack to the ground, and opened every man his sack. And he searched, and began at the eldest, and left at the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then they rent their clothes, and laded every man his ass, and returned to the city. And Judah and his brethren came to Joseph's house, for he was yet there, and they fell before him on the ground. And Joseph said unto them, What deed is this that ye have done? Wot ye not that such a man as I can certainly divine? And Judah said, What shall we say unto my Lord? What shall we speak? Or how shall we clear ourselves? God hath found out the iniquity of thy servants. Behold, we are my Lord's servants, both we, and he also with whom the cup is found. And he said, God forbid that I should do so, but the man in whose hand the cup is found, he shall be my servant, and as for you, get you up in peace unto your father. Then Judah came near unto him, and said, O my Lord, let thy servant, I pray thee, speak a word in my Lord's ears, and let not thine anger burn against thy servant, for thou art even as Pharaoh. My Lord asked his servants, saying, Have ye a father, or a brother? And we said unto my Lord, We have a father, an old man, and a child of his old age, a little one, and his brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother, and his father loveth him. And thou saidst unto thy servants, Bring him down unto me, that I may set mine eyes upon him. And we said unto my Lord, The lad cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die. And thou saidst unto thy servants, Except your youngest brother come down with you, ye shall see my face no more. And it came to pass when we came up unto thy servant my father, we told him the words of my Lord. And our father said, Go again, and buy us a little food. And we said, We cannot go down, if our youngest brother be with us, then will we go down, for we may not see the man's face, except our youngest brother be with us. And thy servant my father said unto us, you know that my wife bare me 2 sons. And the one went out from me, and I said, Surely he is torn in pieces, and I saw him not since. And if ye take this also from me, and mischief befall him, ye shall bring down my grey hairs with sorrow to the grave. Now therefore when I come to thy servant my father, and the lad be not with us, seeing that his life is bound up in the lad's life. It shall come to pass, when he seeth that the lad is not with us, that he will die, and thy servants shall bring down the grey hairs of thy servant our father with sorrow to the grave. For thy servant became surety for the lad unto my father, saying, If I bring him not unto thee, then I shall bear the blame to my father for ever. Now therefore, I pray thee, let thy servant abide instead of the lad a bondman to my lord, and let the lad go up with his brethren. For how shall I go up to my father, and the lad be not with me? Lest peradventure I see the evil that shall come on my father. Genesis chapter 45. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried, Cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph, doth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither, for God did send me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years, in the which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but God, and he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Haste ye, and go up to my father, and say unto him, Thus saith thy son Joseph, God hath made me lord of all Egypt, come down unto me, tarry not. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be near unto me, thou, and thy children, and thy children's children, and thy flocks, and thy herds, and all that thou hast. And there will I nourish thee, for yet there are 5 years of famine, lest thou, and thy household, and all that thou hast, come to poverty. And, behold, your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my mouth that speaketh unto you. And ye shall tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and of all that ye have seen, and ye shall haste and bring down my father hither. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck, and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover he kissed all his brethren, and wept upon them, and after that his brethren talked with him,